You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the very weekly manga review show, part of the Weird Science family of manga podcast. I'm here with my man, Luke Hollywood. What up, Luke?
Oh, what up, Jim?
What up? I do not feel well.
Uh-oh.
I have COVID round 3. I don't even understand how this
Triple
is.
threat.
And I will tell you that this might be the worst I've felt in all 3, including the first one, which is crazy.
Oh,
but
that's handsome.
it is not good here. And so with that, I will apologize ahead of time if I end up not being able to talk. At points when me and you have recorded some of these things this week, I have had coughing fits. I've had to bail and mute the mic. So if you see that, if all of a sudden Luke actually gets about, 10 seconds of alone time,
Whoa.
then you know something's gone wrong.
It's crazy. We don't usually get that.
Holy moly.
Oh,
Usually we have to wait till he throws shade in his own little section.
Boom.
But in that, thanks for coming and listening to this podcast. Go over to Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us. We will follow you back. And then if you like what you hear and maybe you're checking out all of our manga reading clubs and our Manga Monday show, all that stuff, and maybe you'd like to help us out and go over to the Patreon, patreon.com/weirdsciencemanga, where you can help us out, but also get early access to 8 episodes early for the Manga Monday show and the reading clubs in advance as well. So with all of that, not many books this week.
Short,
we're adding a book. But then I had no idea that other books were on hiatus this week. Just a week, it seems. But also the idea of I was planning on catching up on a lot of other things.
Big
but
dreams.
Because I haven't been able to even do anything, I've kind of been down for the count. But I did catch up with Ghostbuster Osamu that we'll have later on in the show.
Bottom.
Oh, yes. And then we'll be adding more. As we said, each and every week, we'll add a couple books as we try to keep this manageable, but talk about some things and maybe some things that people haven't been talking about on other review shows. That might be for a reason, though. We were talking about this, the idea that maybe some of these aren't talked about for a reason, but we do like them. And we think they're bangers. We're trying to spread the love, but we're also going to be adding some other bangers coming up down the line. If you are wondering, something like a Mashal or Sakamoto Days, me and you were talking about those two. But here we are for this week. What are we going to start with, Luke?
Well, we kick this off with Dandadan Chapter 76. What do we do with her? Oh,
yes.
Jeez.
Yes. And you have in this, if you remember from last week, Momo and Vamola are stuck in the mirror of the slit-mouthed woman. And she thinks she's good looking. The idea that she is just hideous, but that's what people think. Some people have elevated ideas of
Beauty
themselves.
is only skin deep, Jim.
I don't know about you, but you look ridiculous in that PlayStation sweater. But boy, you think that you're out on the town like Johnny Suave. But you end up where they are stuck in this mirror and they have a plan. But before they even get to the plan, I like that this slit-mouthed woman, she thinks that they're too cute. So she tries to mess with at least Momo, because at that point, I like that Vamola has put on full Kaiju helmet and ends up with some lipstick, kind of almost like what you do to your buddy when they fall asleep at a party. You don't necessarily draw this stuff on them.
You draw something rude, maybe.
Yes. But she tries to do that and gets mad. Oh, man, that made you cuter. And then they just realize, and Momo realizes what the plan will be here is just to act really cute and hog the attention and hog the mirror, because she's looking into this mirror and only seeing, cute Momo and Vamola. And I think it's really cute the way that Vamola is kind of, doing what Momo's doing, trying to act like her and things like that. So you end up where the slit-mouthed woman gets so angry that she starts, flanging the mirror around, doing all this, which then allows the girls to escape the mirror. And in that, then start doing the pomade. They start saying that we know that if you say that 10 times, she'll end up disappearing, quite like a Beetlejuice or a Candyman, as I said before. Just a not so pretty version of those. So Candyman is pretty horrific himself.
So is Beetlejuice.
He's a looker. So with that, though, there's not that much to this. And I said that I wanted to have the play where Momo and Vamola end up, kind of coming together a little. You got that. But I thought we were going to get even more, but they end up finally escaping after. I mean, if anybody wants to deal with this poor section of town, it's now just destroyed
Wrecked.
by the slit-mouthed woman who just is tearing it to pieces. The art's great.
Oh,
It really looks great. There's just not that much going on, but you end up having Momola being saved by Momo, even like hugging and stuff, and they
Inside
run
the
out.
suit.
Yeah, I
tight
love it too.
squeeze.
Yeah, they're tight squeeze, and they end up where they get out of there, and then you have Momo like, man, I'm never going to take that shortcut again. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to be able to. It's a wreck now. There is no more,
No
path.
more shortcut.
But then they go to school, and with that, you also see that Momola is starting to learn some phrases, starting to learn. Now, is she just repeating the stuff? It seems like she does understand some stuff, which is good. We wanted that to happen. And you do have a nice moment where Momola says, been in real trouble, Momo, and then hugs
she's
Momo.
crying.
They're still in the suit together. And yeah, they end up where, all right, they've become friends. This is what happens sometimes.
Mhm.
Not really, because they end up running the school, and pretty much the whole play here is the principal has been told ahead of time by Granny that there is this exchange student, Momola. And as they come back, Momola runs right up to Akarun, all the stuff that sets off the fighting again.
No.
This time, though, finally, like Momo and Ira, they end up only being together on the same team.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And then the minute after it, they're calling each other skanks and stuff, if I'm allowed to say that. So yeah, they're fighting it out because this old, get away from Akarun, get away. The principal comes out and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. And this sets up school shenanigans. Now, this is a chapter that is a lot of setup here from now on. But it sets up what me and you like. School shenanigans, love triangles, or, I don't even know what it is.
Rectangle, quadrangles. Oh, jeez.
Because you end up having it being set by the principal that Momola is now going to be with Okarun in his class, and he has to look after her. This is going to cause a lot of problems. You end up having Momo and Ira like, what? He shouldn't be in that class. Oh, we should do this. But it is set, and it just has a funny little ending. First off, Gigi's barely in it. He has one panel.
But that one panel,
he makes it work.
Striking a pose.
He's striking a pose. But at the end, even when they want to go and see what's going on in the Class C, we got to go find out about that. Let's go see what's going down. Let's change this. You end up having the enemy of the enemy of the enemy, student council girl. Who
Everybody's enemy.
Right? Yeah. She blocks the path, says no going in, everybody's studying. And you do see that in that point, it does look like the class is just like all enamored with Momola, except maybe Kinta, who is he just in a thinking pose back there?
I don't know.
Kinta might be one of my favorite he's one of the only new characters, but I like Kinta because in a book where everybody's gems, He is not. But he's not in a bad way, but sometimes he is. He's so off, Kenta. Yeah. So I hope that this is the idea. And we're going to get more of all these characters, obviously. But I like this whole play where you have this whole thing going down. Kenta's there, Okarun's doing, and it doesn't look sus or anything. But Momola will probably learn how to talk a little more. And with that, you end up having Momo and Ira just, completely insane about it. And yelling, but
Momo
it's
looks
more
like
of a
she's
setup
about
chapter.
to go spinning like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of ends the deal. Like I said, not the best chapter ever because it's a lot of setup. And I don't even know the slit-mouthed woman, that kind of ends so quickly that you never really get, set in that. It was just to get Momo and Momola in that little section together. But with all of that, what would you give it?
I thought it was a very solid chapter, actually. I think I might be a bit more positive than you, Jim. Positive Peter. It wraps up the slit-mouth woman pretty quick, but I did like Momola and Momo getting closer, even if it's begrudgingly in Momo's case. I do think they are very cute together. And as you were saying, I do like set up for school shenanigans. We haven't had school shenanigans in this book in a while, actually. So if that means that we get to have some more funky business and get the whole gang, get Gigi in on it too, I mean, yeah, I'm up for that big time. So I thought this was a solid chapter. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's a setup. We love the school shenanigans, but you get that at the very end.
Yeah, the tease.
I love Momo and Ira together. It's so great. This makes it even better because now they have that enemy. But
layers.
The funny play is the enemy is such a cute enemy. Vimola's doing nothing wrong. She's just there. She doesn't really quite get what's going on, whatnot. She's an alien. And again, remember, there is, on the back deal, an alien invasion coming. I mean, everything's been activated and in play, but you would think at that point that Vimola would be there to maybe help them out. So she has to get kind of on board and get used to all these characters. So I thought it was a cool play. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me, but we will move on to the next chapter. I'm going to be a quick one. What is the next deal?
Well, the next one we have a surprise X chapter that we didn't really know was coming, but we're going to cover it anyway. It's Spy Family Short Mission number 9.
Yep, Short Mission number 9. You get some nice little spread color page there. Looks really nice. And cute. When you do, though, get into it, basically, I mean, is this something that we say a lot? Anya's not doing very well in school. Like, she's not exactly the smartest, tool in the shed, which we don't mind because that's who she is.
But
and
she's our smartest tool in the shed.
She is. So with that, though, you end up where Lloyd is almost like, at wit's end. How can I make this better? How can I end up making her smarter? Why can't I get through to her and teach? What we get is a really quick chapter that shows you why edutainment sucks. And this is one of those deals. If you don't know what edutainment is, you're luckier than me and Luke.
Osmosis
but you end
Jones.
Up having not even that. That at least it's more of those shows that nobody wants to watch as a kid, but you're made to watch. I mean, it's hard to even remember.
In on the TV in biology class.
Exactly, like that stuff. It's not even like Barney or anything. It's nothing good. It's always like, we're going to teach the kids how to do this and that. So what you end up having, though, is how Lloyd is always going a little extra. I mean, he is a tryhard. He really is. So he ends up thinking the only way that I can get Anya to learn something is by making more of the spy cartoon. The whole idea of the spy wars, that's where she does learn some things. She ends up taking whatever is on that and actually is able to process it. So he decides, if I end up making a kind of a missing episode, he's going to try to trick Anya, even though Anya's reading his mind, but he's going to end up tricking her into an unaired episode, but it's all going to be about what she needs to learn for her tests. Whoa. So he ends up going to, of course, his boy Frankie, and they really set up an animation studio. I mean, it is funny, the idea.
They go 100%.
And that's the thing. When they do this sort of thing, Lloyd will never go half butt. No. If I can't curse. He'll never go halfway with it. He'll go full out. And you find out that, man, he does have some skills here because he's got some, he says his animation skills aren't the greatest. They're not as good as the real, but they're close. Frankie, he's the colorist. Everybody gets thrown in here as you go. And then you have voice acting going on to pretty much write a show and do an anime. That is basically all the information in history, math, all the stuff that Anya has to learn. And they, at the end of doing it, they're so rough when they end up having that reel for the Spy Wars number 53. And they're all excited with each other. They're all getting excited. And they go, and Anya's watching it. She's just sitting there. And you think that it's pretty good, right? The whole play is, it's kind of comical, like, all right. But some of this is like, hey, shoot, I only have 10 minutes left to escape. If I defeat 3 bad guys per minute, then I can eliminate 30 bad guys, or roughly 40% of the time. It's just that idea. Everything is, if a train leaves at this place and goes
Billy
there
has
and does
3
that.
apples and Tommy has 4 bananas, how many oranges
and
does
then
Sally
they just
have?
sit there and say, why the heck does he have 4 bananas? You start getting mad.
Jeez.
Then all of a sudden, the lead character starts yelling out, like, how to work a compass, that north is where this compass is. And then throws in the history lesson. Like, again, you end up having it. It's funny, too, because what this actually plays out, if there is layers in a Goofy X chapter, sometimes you'll have this kind of recap and this dialogue in a lot of manga or comics, the idea of, boy, I'm back in my beloved homeland. It was founded as a frontier settlement. It's so over the top, though. It's so bad. And you end up having Anya just sitting there. She's not saying anything. So the big play here is she going to learn from this? Is she going to like it? Because this is her favorite deal. I thought she was going to have problems with continuity. The idea of why would he do that? And she's not focusing on the same thing. Nope. At the end, she just turns in what can definitely be used
Meme.
from this day on as a meme. That will be the meme of all memes. She turns and says, this cartoon sucks. I can't follow this at all.
Wah, wah.
And Lloyd just ends up.
I think Lloyd's face could be a meme
Here's
as well.
the deal. You take this here and have that full page,
That template.
and then just replace all of the dialogue for whatever you want to throw shade at. Keep Lloyd in it, and it's perfect.
Comedy
it's perfect.
gold.
It reminds me of like the Anakin and Amidala stuff that they have on the Star Wars side. It's pretty funny. It's very quick, obviously. We just went through the whole thing, but it's one of those where I actually like all of the chapters.
I like the long ones. I like the little ones. I like them all.
When they do come up, a lot of times it is, after a long stretch of some things, it does allow you to kind of go in. You get your characters, you get a quick little thing, and it gets you excited for what's coming next. It's nothing that ties in, but I'm saying it's like a palate cleanser, real quick deal. And then you're like, all right, that was funny. Let's go on, when it comes out again. So I actually do like them, though your score has to kind of, be relative to the idea that it's only a couple
10
pages.
out of 10.
But yeah, now, what would you give it?
I really liked it. As we were saying, we like all the
funny.
little ones. This one is a good timing as well because the Spy Family anime came back. So if you think of it, this is like the author, giving props to the anime staff by showing, it's pretty hard. And you get a little bit of the lessons with Frankie, get how it all gets made. So that adds even if it is only a little short chapter, that adds a little bit of extra appreciation to it. So I did like that very much. But yeah, short and sweet, gets the job done, and a great meme at the end. So I'm going to go solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm 8 out of 10 as well. And you have some, classic deals. And they go, and when you have Lloyd doing it, and Frankie's just like, hey, this isn't my thing. I'm more information, not animation. He has some lines. But then all of a sudden, he's right in. He's like, I'll try this new optical filter. They get so into it, which made me laugh. And even that, where Lloyd just keeps yelling at Frankie, because Frankie's like, okay, what am I going to do? Oh, well, you're doing the music, the sound effects, because Lloyd has all of the voices down. But in other layers, you can see real quick, because this doesn't need that much talk about it. But another deal of it is that you do see that Lloyd is paying attention to something that Anya loves. That's a nice thing to know. And it also shows that Anya's always watching it. And it kind of is a funny thing if you go by things with your kids and whatnot. There are movies that I have, in my mind, I haven't even really watched myself that I know every line to because they would be playing when we had our minivan and I had the TV in the back. The movie would always be playing. One of them is, though I do like this myself, is Shrek. The first Shrek was nonstop. So me and Tanya to this day know every line from that. Iconic. So I do like how even the voices and stuff that Lloyd has watched enough to actually know how this should be. And Anya at the end, she says this sucks. She doesn't say this isn't real, even though the funny play is you might want to think that she would pretend that it was good so that she could make him feel better, but she doesn't do that. But really, if you look at the production quality of what they were doing. Legit. I mean, there's a lot of bombs exploding and things like that, but it just kind of gives you that wink that if cartoons are for entertainment, when you try to really push the education part, a lot of times a little kid won't like it. So pretty good for an X chapter. But speaking of bangers, we're going to go off to the Luke Hollywood section. I'd say two bros, but all he does is throw shade at me. But when we get to that, now I hope you feel bad that I'm sick. I hope you mentioned that.
I throw more shade.
I'm already these two short books that I'm already losing my voice. But with all of that, we'll go off to Luke's section. And then after that, we'll be back with two more bangers.
What's up, manga fans? It's your boy, the Hollywood Kid, back at it again on the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast. Back at it again on the very weekly manga review show. Coming at you live from Leakslip. Here we are with another two big banger books to discuss. Oh boy. Now, Jim thinks that I'm throwing shade when I say that he doesn't be reading these big banger books, and he is correct. I am throwing shade. I mean, it's not like he has 150 podcasts to edit or anything. Jeez Louise. But fear not, dear listener, because Luke is here to save the day and discuss all the big books. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be on Front Street, as we always do. Be here on Front Street here on the Weird Science Manga and Anime podcast, but I'm going to play it straight. We're not going to be talking about the same chapters every week. We're going to mix things up a little, where variety is the spice of life, after all, and we're going to be talking about different stuff. Maybe we'll sprinkle in a little Black Clover action one week, and then maybe we'll talk about some Sakamoto Days business another week. That's a big banger indeed. But this week, we are going to discuss the exact same chapters that we discussed last week, and why are we going to do that, dear listener? Because it's my section, and I make the rules. How you like them apples? Oh boy. Any complaints, talk to Jim. I just work here. Oh boy. But yeah, we are going to talk about the exact same chapters that we talked about last time. And the reason why is because it's been quite the 180, in my opinion, this week. You know, last week I was singing My Hero's tune, and I thought Jujutsu was only a bit a lukewarm, if you will. Oh boy. But this week, how to turn tables. I'm telling you, My Hero kind of going down a little, and Jujutsu stepping it up big time. Oh boy, it's been a long time coming, but you love to see it. But without further ado, let's see it right now. We're going to jump into the two big books. We're going to find out if they're bangers. We're going to get it done lickety-split, and then we're going to get out of here pronto. So first of all, we have the My Hero Academia's chapter 368. Rev it up, one for all. Vroom vroom. I added the vroom vroom bit, just in case you were wondering. But we open with a pretty sus color page, in fact. Pretty sus indeed. Perhaps the most sus color page we've ever had for My Hero. This is pure Ayakashi Triangle levels of sus. Oh jeez. We have Invisible Girl, not so invisible. Problems. I don't know what's going on. Oh jeez. Sus City, population Horikoshi. What's happening? Jeez Louise, let's move on from that, I'm thinking. But we're going on straight into pretty crazy shenanigans. With Deku getting real angry. Is Shiggy still in there? He looks like he's about to throw a couple knuckle sandwiches. And we do see Shiggy 2.0, the combination weird dude that he is, the combination of All For One and Shiggy. And it seems like young Shiggy is trapped inside. All For One is taking over because he's been alive longer, so that means he gets the keys to the car of the Hanzi mobile, I suppose, and he's the one in charge. And he confirms that they're not going to get the pie in the sky happy ending here. Oh no, Hanzi is not going to give him that on a handy plate. Oh jeez. And Deku looks furious. But that's when Mirio steps it up and says, hang on a minute, I was throwing shade earlier. I said that Shiggy didn't have any friends. He was a loner. He was a loser. And stuff like that. And that made him very angry. He raged and freaked out like a child. So that maybe that combination, maybe that fusion of young Shiggy and old man All For One ain't so flawless. Maybe we'll be able to reach out and pull out that young Shiggy from the hand abomination. So really crazy stuff here. And then we do see inside of the mind, we see all the different One For All specters, the ghosts of One For All past, and Nana Shimura is in there as well, and she notices in the creepy finger face abomination coming from Shiggy, she recognizes a face, and she knows, she looks deep, and she can tell that Tenko is still kicking inside this weird hand abomination. Her nephew, I think it was nephew, it's been a while, but her nephew is still kicking, and they need to get him out of there. But he's not going to make it easy, because he is going to knock about the place. Sky High Academy is flying all over the shop. Oh jeez. And he wants One For All back. All For One wants his One For All. And that is still confusing 368 chapters later. Oh no. But we're making a big mess, smashing all over the shop. Oh jeez. And Deku is not going to give it up that easy. He's going to do a combo attack. He's going to combine the third user's Fat Jin energy I don't know what that does, and it was explained, but I forget. And then we have the 5th user's Black Whip. I remember that. We saw that in the anime. And he's going to do a boosted binding combo, the Black Chain. Oh, very cool. And that does some damage. Very cool. But it ain't enough. Deku is not giving up just yet, because that's when we see the 2nd user show up, and we've never seen him. He was actually the guy everybody thought was the Bakugo lookalike. He has the scar on the nose. He's looking serious. And he shows up and he says, basically, this is the end game. Once you use my ability, we got 5 minutes or else we lose the war. So the stakes are pretty high, as you can imagine. We don't know what his ability is yet, but then we find out because he gets in position and he says it's time for the seconds transmission. Oh boy, automatic, or I suppose it's going to be manual, considering how gearboxes work. But this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Now, I am a dummy, that has been confirmed, but I do not know exactly what is happening in this current situation, but we'll find out together. We see Midoriya kachacking his fingers, maybe getting in gear, and then we see Shiggy, a Hansi McGee, the crazy 2.0 edition, he goes blasting. 2nd gear, ka-chunk. 3rd gear, ka-chunk. And top gear, ka-chunk. Speed boost, and boom. Hansi McGee 2.0, Crazy Shiggy All for One goes flying into orbit. Team Rocket is blasting off again. Oh boy. What exactly happened there? I'm very confused. He's very surprised. Even Shiggy's surprised. What's going on? What's he doing to me? This is nothing like that energy from before. He's way too fast. And then he thinks, this reminds me of that meta ability from back in the day. This is All for One reminiscent to back when the 2nd user was kicking. And he remembers that quirk that he has. The quirk that changes a target's speed when touched. Gear shift overdrive. That is what the transmission is using right now. That's what's going on. Every time he changes gears, Shiggy goes quicker, I suppose. It's a bit confusing, I will admit. Maybe I need to read it a few more times, but I've read it a few times already, and it's tricky to wrap my head around this ka-junk gears, Speedy Gonzalez going on here. Oh boy. But yeah, we do see that this is Izuku putting in 120 out of 100%. He's cranking it up to 11 or 1,200%. Oh boy. It's very cool. But we do know that there is a time limit here as well. 5 minutes, or else, we're all banjacks. So no pressure or nothing, Deku. Oh boy. But we do see, this is how serious it is. We do see the first user, All for One's bro of the mind here. He comes in and says, let today be the day that we end this. And we end this chapter on a Detroit smash. Overdrive, transmission boosted, speedy boost smash. Oh my goodness. It's pretty crazy, but also pretty darn confusing. That's my main problem here, in case you haven't guessed already. Solid chapter, but I don't really know what's going on with this transmission business. This is what I was afraid of when we were first introduced to the idea that all the users' powers are going to be unlocked, like a skill tree, like he's got new user loot boxes that he can open up and then he gets a brand new quirk to equip. It means that we're going to have situations like this, where we get out of the blue new powers that are going to save the day, that we've never used or are even familiar with. So it is a little tricky. Now there is a monkey paw. There is a 5-minute limit that I suppose then the gearbox gets jammed up maybe. And if that doesn't work, is he spent then? Because he's going 120% for 5 minutes. So if he goofs it, then he's major goofed. We're all banjacks then. So I suppose, yeah, the stakes are pretty high, but I still don't know what's going on. If transmission ends up saving the day, and oh boy, we hardly do transmission, then it's going to be a little, it feels like cheating. A little, if I'm honest, it feels a little weak sauce. Pulling this super ability out of the bag, out of nowhere, just when we need it, without much explanation. I don't know what's going on. We already knew that there was going to be a mystery. There was a couple of users that we hadn't met yet, so it's cool to see that. But if this is going to be what saves the day, I'm not going to be too impressed either. And maybe I'm just being picky, but it is what it is, I suppose. So I'm hoping we do get a little bit more explanation of what's going on with this number 2 user. I suppose he probably doesn't want to be called that. But the transmission. I want to see what's happening there because it seems like we're going to have only a little bit of time to sort out business. So I don't know how long 5 minutes can last in manga world, but hopefully it doesn't last too long because I would like some answers lickety split. I want to gear shift into knowing what's happening right here. Oh boy. So yeah, okay. Not the worst chapter we've ever had, but I'm looking forward to more answers. So I'm going to go 7.5 out of 10. A decent showing, but by no means the king this week. And I'm afraid that crown goes to Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh boy, what a banger indeed. Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 199, Resentful Names. Now, if you remember last week, we were wrapping up that whole Maki business with the number one misogynist, Naoya, who is out of the picture for the second time. Let's hope he doesn't come back 3 times the charm. Oh boy. He's out of the picture now. Maki handled business. We do see Noritoshi still kicking, which is good. I was worried about him because he looks pretty banged up, but they're just talking, chatting away as the two kind of black sheep of their respective big jujitsu families. They're kind of kindred spirits here. And then we do see as well, very surprising but pretty cool, we do see Noritoshi's mom. And she is not in any of this culling game business, hopefully. And she's just saying, oh yeah, I've got a pretty good kid, that Noritoshi. I hope he comes back to see me. And I hope he does too. Because Noritoshi's been through a lot. I think he could do with a win. He could do with a W. He could do with a win in the column. He's been through some stuff and I think he deserves that. But really, that's all well and good. But then the chapter really gets cooking when we go to Tokyo number 1 colony. Oh, it's been a long time coming. Here we go. The gang is all here. I'm talking Itadori. I'm talking Fushiguro. I'm talking Angel Lady. Kurusu. I am probably going to forget her name, so let's call her Angel Lady. I'm talking Funny Man, Takaba. I'm also probably going to forget his name. It has been months since we have seen these characters. So Funny Man and Angel Lady. The gang is all here. They all ended up bumping into each other, as we will find out here. But we do see Angel Lady and Fushiguro is awake. He was asleep for a bit, 2 days. Itadori living it up in the bathrobe, sipping that fine wine. I don't know if he's old enough to be drinking that. Maybe it's just juice. I don't know. They've all kind of combined here. They're all taking a breather in the fancy hotel room. Funny Man went down to the 7-Elevens and got some snacks, and they're all chatting it up. We do see how they came together in a little quick mini flashback. We do see Itadori bumping into Funny Man, looking for Fushiguro, and then that's when we find Kurusu. Angel Lady had already picked up Fushiguro, and then they all met up, they all combined, and then they all decided to take a nice little break in the hotel. But we have an update on the points game, because we do know that the culling game does the points, and they were wanting to get enough points to sort out a few things. So Hakiri, the 3rd year, he got 100 points. Okatsu, he was bagging and tagging points big time. He got 190. And then if you add in the points that Fushiguro and Itadori already had, and then add in Angel Lady and Funny Man, Takaba, and Kurusu, they got loads of points. 359, we've met the points quota, and now we can help Sumiki. That is, in case you forgot, Fushigiro's big sis, and the reason why they were doing this all in the first place, to get her out of the culling game shenanigans. So, they're able to sort it all out. Takaba doesn't have a problem with him giving away the points, and neither does Angel Lady Kurusu. But they have more questions for Kurusu as she's here. They're looking for the angel. She has a halo and wings, so I think they found her, and they wanted her help. And this is where things get a little bit tricky, because, yeah, they're looking for the angel, and then, Angel Lady gets a little face coming out of her cheek. Very Sukuna-esque, and straight away you're like, what the heck is going on? Because usually Sukuna is the only one that does this. So to see somebody else who's kind of combined with another person like this, it's very crazy indeed. Even Itadori says, she's just like me. What the heck indeed? And the mouth starts spilling the beans. Oh, this is why she was going to help you, because you previously, and then, Kurusu, Hana is her name, she puts a hand on that mouth. She does not want all the beans to be spilled, but she does say a few things. She says her own curse technique is that she negates curse techniques. Very undead unluck of her. Oh no. But she doesn't have a problem with the barriers, with the seals. She can slip in and out of the culling game barriers, no problem at all. But her plan, as the hand mouth says, is that she wants to wipe out all the players who are reincarnated. All the cursed spirits living in bodies that are possessing the bodies. And apparently that goes against God's laws, and she thinks it's wrong. Fushiguro is confused. What the heck? God? But she says, don't worry, that's just the name I give to my beliefs. Forget about it. It ain't no big deal. But it kinda is, as we continue. So, layers here. There's some stuff going on. But they ask the big question, and this is a big game changer, in fact. Can your technique of negating curse techniques revert possessed players to their original state? She says it's tricky, not impossible, but it's tricky, so they might both end up dying, which is why Sukuna would die if Itadori got reverted like that. But what they really want to know is, can she remove a seal, such as the seal placed on the prison realm, a special grade cursed object, aka the box that Gojo has been stuck in for millennium, since the dawn of time. And I'm telling you, as soon as this was brought up, now my ears really perked up then. And then she says, and this is huge, yeah, I can probably do that, no problem. Oh my goodness, are we about to get Gojo out of that dang box? At last? I didn't think it could happen, but there is a catch. 22. There is a monkey paw in this situation. Oh boy. She says she wants their cooperation, and then she's going to remove the seal. She's just going to ask them to handle the big cheese, the big enchilada, the one incarcerated player that she can't allow to live, the disgraced one. If you promise to kill that disgraced one, I'll help you, no questions asked. And then we go, uh-oh, this is where it gets real crazy. We go, boom, straight into the mind of Itadori, mind games, and then, oh, it's Sukuna chilling in his blood palace thingy, and he says, been a while, and it has been a while, but before you reveal anything, I should tell you a little detail here, a little sneak peek. I'm the disgraced one. Uh-oh. The one that Angel Kurusu wants to kill is Sukuna, aka Itadori, because they are a package deal ever since Itadori chowed down on that figure in Chapter 1. So this is quite the sticky situation that they have found themselves in. Oh boy, they have potentially the chance to bust Gojo out of his 5-star prison box that he's been stuck in for ages, but to do that, they're going to have to kill Sukuna, and I don't know how that's going to play out. Oh boy. We already know that Itadori isn't so happy with his whole life with Sukuna right now. He is already devastated with what happened in the Shibuya incident. So maybe he would just give up. I mean, we could be in a situation where he accepts it, but I don't know. Is Funny Man, is Fushiguro going to let that happen? This is where the plot thickens. At last. How long have we been waiting? How long have we been stuck in this culling game shenanigans? And we've been waiting for the ball to get rolling in Jujutsu Kaisen. And finally, in this chapter, it got rolling big time. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe it as I was reading it. Every page turned. Crazy stuff happening. I was happy enough just to see Itadori and Fushiguro back at it again. And Funny Man and Angel Lady. That was nice too. But to see some plot progression at last after what seemed like an eternity, big time. Crispy. Oh, delicious indeed. Yes, I am loving it. And I cannot wait to see where we go next. And I'll be honest, I've been going through the motions for a couple of months now with Jujutsu Kaisen, because it's been the same old action stuff. You know, we're not moving, not progressing the plot. So to see some movement, some progression, at long last, I'm over the moon. I don't mind, even if it was just a bunch of talking heads, because that's what we've been needing. We've had nothing but action for ages, so a little chit-chat is much appreciated, especially when it's big chit-chat like this. Oh boy. So yes, indeed, I'm very excited. I'm more excited for Jujutsu Kaisen now than I have been in months, and I cannot wait to see where we go next. So yes, guaranteed, confirmed banger here. A club classic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going 9 out of 10. Yeah, a bunch of chit-chatting, but oh boy, was it good chit-chat indeed. I'm very happy. So there you have it. 2 banger chapters. Jujutsu takes the victory royale, I think. But My Hero was no slouch either. I think it just needs to get its gear on and explaining what transmission exactly is, because I'm very confused. But, that happens every week. I am a very confused person. Oh boy. But what's not confusing at all is that now we're going to wrap up this little shindig and we're going to hop on back to the main show with Jim talking his usual nonsense and me making my usual weird noises. Bada bing. But here we go, back to the main show, and we'll do it all again solo here, me and you, for some big books next week. Boom.
All right, we're back, Luke. We're back from all that crap talking, I'm sure.
Whoa.
I'm not that sure, but hopefully there's not too much. We're going to be going off to a book that we ended up doing on our Manga Monday show. If you haven't listened to that, it was hot off the presses, I hear, when we did it a couple weeks ago.
Lukewarm.
I would probably suggest going and listening to that so that you kind of know what is going on. If you haven't been reading Ghostbuster Osamu, I should have said that.
You should be reading.
Yeah, and it's one of those books that Luke convinced me was a banger. We ended up talking about the first chapter. We didn't love the first chapter, but you said that you really did like it, so I caught up on this. This is the one I caught up on this week as I was desperately trying.
Because this is the moneymaker.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. When everybody sees Ghostbuster Osamu in the title, they're going to run to this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
But when I read it, I was confused for the first couple chapters, second and third deal, saying, what is Luke talking about? But by the 6th chapter that we're doing, it actually does come around, and I'm starting to get a good idea of at least what's going on and what's happening, though I'm still worried about the longevity of it, but I'm starting to like it more and more. So I will give Luke credit that it is getting better. I'm glad that we caught up on it. So what is it, Luke?
Well, we have this week the I have to get the right title. The Ghostbuster Osamus. Oh, yes, indeed, because it wasn't written on the first page. It is the chapter 6, no title. Oh, boy.
What we do see on that first page before the credits page is that deal of somebody new getting a letter. We find out that it's Osamu's master, though the master mentor relationship here is kind of a little odd. It doesn't really get explained much or play out, but that's kind of what this book is. There's always a little something in my mind of the details missing, but overall, at the end, you kind of get an idea of everything, and it actually ends up being a nice thing. Together. Because really, after all these chapters, the big play is Osamu. She just doesn't fit in. We talked about this at the beginning in our Manga Monday, and through these chapters and including this one, it's not as if she doesn't want to fit in. She does seem to want to fit in. She just is an introvert that is trying to. And when you end up having Hororama, her gal friend, show up, Gem of Gems, in that, she is able to end up, pretty much making her come out of her shell. And that is also the reason why, when they're together, all of these crazy vengeful ghosts come at them, but they're all geek ghosts. That's the problem with this. The longevity is, it seems that Osamu is only good at fighting geek ghosts.
The geek ones.
We even find out in this chapter that she pretty much got kicked out of, school, ghost busting school. Nobody liked her. They made fun of her because she wasn't that good. But these geek things she can do, and pretty much Hayurama, that play of being the gal of legend, the one gal that will befriend all the geeks. She is a magnet. So in that, though, is it really explained enough? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you end up like, that's the basis of it, but they never really, they hint at it a lot of times and whatnot. Once you get the idea, and I think, again, the last chapter in this one is where I fully got the idea of everything going on, it makes it good then. It's almost like they don't want to come out. It's like they want it to be whispered down the lane. But
not part of the mystery, but that's what it is.
But it's not really, the mystery shouldn't be the basis, the mission statement. So with that, again, you end up where Hayurama, she ends up being the magnet to these vengeful geek ghosts. They come in, and usually Osamu can end up getting them. And again, also just to point out, if you are thinking that there's we got to kill the ghost, or, these ghosts are bad, that's not the case. What they're doing is Osamu wants to figure out why they're upset, and then she has to make them happy so they can go to heaven. Everything's very wholesome. I think that's like the touch at the end of why I do like it overall. It has it has a nice-hearted nature to it with that. Even though in this, though, again, we're going to go through this chapter. Chapter 6, actually, it's like a remix of the first chapter. It's very odd.
It feels like we're recovering our steps that we've already covered.
I mean, even in that, when do you rarely get a editor's note in a manga that says to go read the first chapter again, right? I mean, it almost feels as if at this point they're like, oh crap, people aren't reading. Let's get this going again. Let's reset. It's a real weird play because me and you like it. And it seems to be popular on, say, a Manga Plus, but you end up going back to, again, the Banhisu versus the Hisuban ship of the whole deal of this manga. The
back
popular
to basics.
shonen manga, Manko Player Ban.
Weekly shonen Jump.
Yeah, Jump. We're back to the Jump. And I do think that this ghost, pretty cool. One of the coolest looking ghosts that we've had.
Monster.
Most of the ghosts end up looking like really weird and off. This actually looks like a giant suit of ninja armor.
Whoa. And
it comes in here, and it is again another Banhisu shipper, which is the same deal. This is a real weird play of how this is all going down, and you're going to get back to that shipping fight. So it's going to be back and forth. Well, I like the Banhisu. No, I like the Hisuban. And again, if you've read the first chapter, it starts to get a little like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again? But in this, I think that the play, Parurama, at least she's kind of a little bit more stepped up and she knows what's going on here. Mm-hmm. She's playing play by play, but as this fight goes on, you do end up having the crazy Master Dango show up. Is that, would you say Dango or Dango? Dango shows up, and she's the master that ended up training Osamu, but she's also a famous, iconic artist that ends up doing this,
like the fan books.
Yeah, the shipping fan book deal. And so she's known in the deal, especially with shippers. So this becomes like this battle that also includes her and the being impressed with what is happening. I'm going to go to you here because I'm telling you, I'm trying to explain this. I told you that it was going to be tough because of the way this is and how it resets. But in this, you get a play then that the master even has the magic eye. It gets crazy,
this
right?
is when it gets crazy. The major difference, apart from the master, the major difference between chapter 1 and this is that Osamu, her spirit energy is real low. She's real lacking in power and she's not able to face such a terrifying monster who's into this Hisu ban when really she's into the bad Hisu. She's struggling with that, and that's where we see, and that's when the master comes in, because with the power of her special eye, which allows, and I'm glad this is explained, it allows her to see people shipping fantasy. And even just the reaction from the gal that says it all, But
here's the thing, like, just for a quick second. Yeah. The idea of this, it sounds ridiculous. I mean, as I'm talking, that's why I went to you. Like, it's but when you're reading it and when you get to the 6th chapter, it makes more sense than I think I can ever play off of explaining it. And when it does, you just start laughing because it's just getting more and more ridiculous. This ends up almost feeling, in my mind, people aren't going to like this, but almost has Roboko vibes at points when they're talking about some things of how...
And the reactions to this,
stuff like that. Like the idea of what's happening in this, it's really playing off the idea of people who get all excited about the anime and the manga, and then they start shipping. But when you end up having the master come and then reveal, I have my magic left eye that is able to reveal everybody's shipping fantasies, you have to think like, that's not a great power. The idea. And then you find out how she got it. And it is kind of funny because Osamu pretty much seems to have gotten it as her eye was hurt. And then she was healing while hearing all the shipping nonsense of Osamu. But you go again, because again, they're just going with this. And you said she is out of power. Osamu is really tired because she's been fighting geek vengeful ghost after geek vengeful ghost because of Horrorama being the magnet. But boy, it gets a little. It's really weird to talk about. But you go from there.
Yeah, so basically, Master is able to use her special eye. She's able to compress everything, all the Hisuban greatest hits that are in Osamu's head, and like make it with her fantastic drawing skills. So she is like 1-2 double punch here. She has the special eye and the drawing skills to make pretty much the fan book to repower, re-energize Osamu. This is just what she ordered. Oh my goodness. But the best thing is, I think, like, Osamu, okay, yeah, she's recovered completely. But then the Master is like, well, let's make this a fair fight. And then I'll draw, like, the exact opposite for the bad Hisu spirit over here. And then we're going to have a proper fight now.
Yeah, ends
Whoa.
up making a little book for the spirit. Even then, the spirit ends up, this vengeful geek ghost is, like, overtaken. What? I mean, this shipping is one thing in the fight or whatever, but to have a master that is this iconic shipping artist on her side and
Dream
able to
come
see
true.
the fantasy. It's like almost like I'm now fighting something that's so overwhelming. But remember, the whole play this isn't just to win. It's to end up where you send them to heaven because they get to, you know, it's the classic of somebody stuck because they didn't fulfill a wish. But these end up just all being geek fights. I mean, I'm telling you, all of them end up being a geek who, hey, I didn't get to punch this person because they didn't like what I like, or I didn't get to convince them to like my manga that I love. So it has been all that. But the idea of this magic left eye comes out of left field. It really does. And then all of a sudden, it's not a fair fight. So I'm going to do this. And then you just end up getting like a video game fight.
It's like Dragon Ball beatdown.
It is. And then they start just beating each other down. We saw this in the first chapter. But again, it ends up being that idea of, at least we both like the same manga. Yeah, we can fight about the shipping.
It ends up wholesome all the time.
I mean, at one point they are fighting. They are miles in the sky, just a blaze fighting. And then a few hours later, they end up where, okay, you know, I said my piece, you said yours. We both like the manga. So, hey, shake on it and I'm going to go off to heaven. And that's where you end up going with that. And then, yeah, the whole deal about the master and the training when you get Dango, Amasaka, the wandering Dojin artist, is actually fully introduced at the end, where even there where Hororama's like, you're the master? I mean, this is crazy. And then, yeah, the play here, though, is, hey, when you get down and you're going to be fighting a lot of these geek ghosts and you lose your energy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some of these side things. It's very funny because in my mind, kind of similar of what Lloyd tried to do in Spy Family this week in the X chapter to kind of try to teach on you what something she likes. So this is the power up of something that Osamu loves. But the big play here is don't use it unless you're really out of energy. And of course, she wants to read it right away, and you have to get Hororama. I'm like, no, you can't do it. You're completely healthy now, running away with it. So it's kind of a full deal. And I like the idea that then Dango's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Just leaves. I'm like, really? Like, you're out of here? You've had now a rival show up and just leave. You end up the master show up and just leave. So hopefully we'll get some characters sticking around a little. I would like
even better, like as we were saying, like if they all happen to stick, because we already know the houses, there's business, there's shenanigans going on with that house. So if you had the rival, the master, the gal, all in that house, imagine the possibilities.
And I remember then, and just again, this is something we said we didn't really want to do and talk about the other chapters as we get back to this. But in the deal, Mishin, who is the rival, she's now into the manga as well. So I'd like to see her reaction and what her shipping and all that gets all wacky. But it is one of those, it's a side title. I mean, it really is, but it has a lot of quirkiness and wholesomeness that I actually am starting to really enjoy overall. But what would you give it?
Yeah, you're right. I liked it a lot. It is very much a quirky, it's an acquired taste.
It's going to be hard. I would not recommend this full out to people. I would say that I like it and Luke loves it.
Oh, I love
and
it.
If you ended up listening, even when we used to talk on our weekly review show, if you think you have the same taste, then I think you'll like it. But this isn't one that if I wanted somebody to get into manga, it wouldn't be my first suggestion. It wouldn't be the first thing that I would go with. but we like it.
I think
It's
when you
quirky.
said like the me and Roboco comparison, actually it kind of works like that, because it's very much me and Roboco is like the love letter to the manga.
Yeah, this
And,
is like the shipping.
Yeah, this is like the shipping and the
even
fan
the geekdom,
culture.
the fandom. Yeah.
So
That's
like,
what
there's a lot
gets
going
me.
on with that, and it is very it's difficult to talk about because there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, but it is also very fun. And like we said, whenever we went back and did chapter 1, the art continues to be a highlight because it's so expressive. It kind of cranks up that goofiness even more. Like some of these expressions are Anya meme face level. I'm telling you. And yeah, like I'm not so sure about the plot. Like it's kind of spinning its wheels already.
It is,
but I'm not so sure how long this might last. But I'm certainly enjoying it while it sticks around. It's an acquired taste, but I still say give it a go. You might have some fun. Who knows? It's going to get an 8.2 from me.
I'm going 7.5.
Solid,
just because it's repeating some stuff. But I still like that. Again, if you go and read this, the first chapter. We said we didn't love it, but then I'm telling you, the second and third, and usually a lot of people, I give it 3 chapters.
Yeah.
The second and third, you're still kind of like, okay, you have to read up to this chapter, I think, if you're going to give it a go. And one of the things, even about the Roboco, that I thought, it does feel like that to me as well, because it's like each chapter is its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really, and I think that we need to get some overall bigger story going, because again, it is like Roboco. I don't want to keep saying that because that's really going to turn some people off. But
yeah, that's not an insult. That's
no,
a
it's not, because we love that. And that's where you get like those rotating cast of characters. Not a lot of characters. Like they'll come in for one chapter and then leave and stuff like that, and then come back. And I'm sure all of these will come back at points. So I did like reading it. I told you, I said before we started, this is going to be tough to talk about. It's a weird book. And you're like, no, it'll be easy. What's so hard about it? I'm telling you, it's weird because I don't want to undersell it, because I do like it. But we have one last chapter to go. And what does that look?
Well, this is the Kaiju number 8, a.k.a. the monster number 8, a.k.a. the Kaiju number lates. But maybe not so late anymore. It's kind of getting grown on us here. Oh boy. But it is chapter 71 with I suppose, like half color page. There's some green.
It does have that, and I like it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you get into this, though, it's funny because me and you haven't been the biggest fans of Kaiju number 8. Since we've come back and since I've caught up in the last 2 chapters, I am in. I actually love this chapter. I thought that it ended up having the layers that I wanted. I still want all of the squad. And what we're leading to is pretty much the numbered weapons versus it's getting bigger and bigger. We're still going to have to wait for everything. But by the end of this, I think it's one of the best cliffhangers that we've had, because you have all this going on. And if you remember, Narumi, he ended up saving the wedding. You ended up having him come in, as we see. And they're going to reiterate the idea. These attacks are nationwide.
All over.
These are like, nobody is around the like, oh, where should we go? Because we're not getting attacked. Everybody's being attacked. So everybody's going to have to rely on their own self.
Mm-hmm.
And in each of these districts, they're on their own. In that, Narumi, he's on his own big time. And that is crazy because there are so many things. And I do like the father of the bride. That's part of the cleanup crew that we saw last chapter, where Narumi came and saved that whole wedding pretty much. And he's a gem. He tells, because Narumi says, get everybody out, use all of my side guys, the support guys. You guys get everybody to safety. I'll end up having to take on everything here on my own.
Whoa. And
you have that guy, the father, no, just let me go. He needs our help. He needs the help. And that's not going to happen. You end up where they say, actually, the biggest threat here of anything is Narumi himself, because he is going to activate, Kaiju number 1, weapon number 1. So that's pretty big.
He's
and the idea of all that happening. And it's a pretty cool deal. And you even see when you have that play where these Kaiju are just descending on him. He's just in this little clearing.
That splash page is crazy.
And then boom, that splash page is great. And you end up where, okay, there's going to be a big battle as they're running away. And as you see that there's not going to be anybody who's going to be able to come in and give any sort of backup to anybody here. Now, again, this is going to be a quick chapter because you end up with little vignettes like, okay, let's go off to Osaka. Let's go off to Hyogo Prefecture. And you're just going to see that everybody is being attacked. We saw this before, but it does really give you that sense that this is big. This is something we've been waiting for. You have it from way, way back. The idea that they were worried. There was more kaiju attacks. There was more things going on. Once you ended up getting old number 9 Top Hat, who we hate, once he came out, he showed himself to be a little different. He showed himself to be a little bit, he's doing moves and things like that. And I remember, if you remember, this is like 20 chapters ago or whatever it was, when they actually said, we're going to be in trouble if these things come at once. We've never really had everything come at once. And if they're coordinated, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing exactly that. We see, though, that they were trying desperately and, really quickly to be able to be ready for it. But they're not quite ready yet. No. You get this attack at a point where it seems like they might not be fully ready, because we've seen some of our guys that we really like, trying to bond with some of the kaijus, the weapons, and it's not working well, or it is, or whatnot. So you end up having all that, and you get to see, some of the guys that we know and love, like Hasegawa. He's trying to coordinate everything, but he realizes where number 9 is moving the pieces. And seriously, if you could ever have a page that gives you the idea that somebody's playing 4D chess,
it's incredible.
It's that. This is something that we've laughed about for all the time when we talk about it. And it is
literally 4D chess.
All you need is on the side to have everybody else there playing checkers. And then we're in. We have our best thing ever. So all this going down, you end up where it's just everything's under attack. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We're not going to be able to, do this. So everything is desperate times calls for desperate measures. And even Nairumi trying to do this, he can't do it on himself. So they decide that it's time. And then he says, you have to deploy it. And we're like, oh, what's that? Well, we find out it's numbers weapon 4. And you do get, it's a little bit at first, it's a little bit of a subtle type of thing here where they say, oh my God, not since Akari was commander of the first unit have we had this weapons number 4. Now, that's the thing. If you don't remember, that's Kikuru's mother. That's a huge thing. That's Kikuru's mother, and also, Commander Shinomiya's wife. So all that going on. He is gone. Aseo, he was taken down by number 9. We saw even almost like his last gasp, chapter. So you end up where, okay, well, this is weird. And you end up having Hasegawa. He's getting a little nostalgic. And he says, are you watching Aseo? It's as if Akari is back with us. And so you're like, what does that mean? What's going on? Like, oh my God. And then boom, you see the person who's going to take over Akari's weapon number 4, Kaiju number 4. It's Kikuru. And she ends up, and it's like that. It's like something that in this book that really comes full circle. And
because we've been through it all with her from nearly the start.
Yep. And the idea that she has always been elevated. She's always been great because she is. She's my favorite character in this whole book. I mean, she's easily my favorite character. So that's why this might actually get me too. But she's
stepping it up.
She's always been nice. But she's always been like the one who can always do everything. Now she has to end up going onto this, Kaiju weapon
Big
number
shoes
4,
to fill.
where it hasn't been used since her mom died. And this is her. And she says, and I said the layers here, because she says numbers weapon 4. I might not be good enough to take your place just yet, mommy. But still, I'll become a worthy master of this weapon. Lend me your strength. And it's so good. That got feels from me. But you said it was fun. You said, oh man, I hate that she still calls her mommy. And I said the layer of that is she's grown up a bit, right? She's an older girl. But the last time she has not been able to talk to her, that's what she called her when their mom died. She hasn't gotten past that idea. In her head, everything she thinks about, that's still mommy because of how young she was.
Trapped
And
in the past.
it is layers. And then you end up with that, like just the idea of all this going on. And you have like that battle Kafka trying to prove himself that he's not just the kaiju. He can end up doing this. You even have the others trying to go. But boy, this one is way more personal. This is such a good deal where she ends up where they're desperate. We need to do this. Maybe you're not ready, whatnot, but, get weapon number 4 out there. And then you see her say, I hope that I can take your place. I'm not going to take your place, Mommy, but I hope that I'm a big deal. And then she says, Kikaru Shinomiya, moving out. And it's like one of those things where it does add way more of a personal touch than I think that we've gotten since maybe the early stuff of Kafka. And, when Kafka didn't want anybody to know that he was a kaiju and stuff like that, trying to prove herself to Kikaru's dad. I mean, when he was doing the let me get a blood test with my fist, that's when it was the most personal, where you were rooting for it. And now that we have everything big and the kaiju attacking, I'm glad that we have a personal touch here, because this is huge. She's not just going out to save everyone. She's going out to prove to herself and maybe to kind of give her mom a shout out and to be able to be, almost as good as her. And hopefully that will be the case. And it's a shame that her dad and mom, now with that, her dad, I still don't think that he's faded away completely.
No, he'll be around somewhere. Top Hat, I bet you Top Hat has something going on with him.
I'm telling you, I hope that he is able to, in that weird of the mind deal at points, will be the deal. But seriously, if you ended up, Kikaru goes against Kaiju number 9, which she's going to want to really go. You know that he's going to pull out that play of, no, your father's still in here. Look, here he is. And you can't kill me or you kill him. You know this is going to happen. So I got all fired up. I really like this. What would you give it?
Yeah, it was a banger. We've been fighting kaijus at big fields. Yep. And it seems that's finally where we're going. So I'm very happy with that. Probably not going to be as high as you, Jim, but I'm going to go with a solid 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go straight up 9 for it. Because, I love Kikaru. And I love the idea of her stepping up. It's been building and building in the background for a while of stuff with her mom and then also her dad, which is a shame that they're both gone. But in that, though, that is it. That's it for our chapters this week. We end up talking a little more on the back end of this because I got fired up. But what is your gem of the week?
Oh,
or who? I shouldn't say what. It's a weird one for gem of the week. But who is your gem?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much know who's going to be your gem, Jim, after reading that last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to, keep things mixing it up. I'm going to go for my gem of the week. I'm going to go Dango Amasaka, the legendary Doujin artist, with her special eye.
Her special eye. Well, I'll tell you that my second pick would be Lloyd in Spy Family
because the hard worker.
And here's the thing: anytime Frankie's in, I would that's my second pick is Frankie and Lloyd together as the pop-up anime studio. That was pretty good.
Dynamic duo.
Kikaru's my gem. I don't have the gem.
Doubt about
it. So that is my gem of the week, especially calling out for mommy. But she wants to be strong like the mommies. With that, though, that is it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed us stumbling and fumbling. I can't even keep my mind straight now. Hopefully, though, I'll be on the mend and we can add some things in. There's plans. We have plans for some bangers to be added in again. So give us some time as we ease into the very weekly review show. But I hope everybody continues to enjoy the return out of hiatus of the show itself. So with that, though, go over to Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us and follow you back. And then go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, where you can help us out and get early access to all of our shows. So there we have it. Thank you, Luke. That is it. We'll be back next week. And also check out the links in the show notes because we have a bunch of manga reading clubs, including, say, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, what else? Chainsaw Man, the Dragon Balls, the Death Note, all those things going on. And yeah, you can listen to all those as well. So check that out, rate and review, all that. But that's it. Thank you all, and we'll talk to you next week.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.